The massive oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico has reportedly reached the U.S. state of Louisiana. Well, BP is preparing for a huge operation to avert an environmental catastrophe. The enormous amount of crude has been leaking daily since the devastating explosion off the U.S. coast almost 2 weeks ago.
The Coast Guard certainly has been at the forefront of the federal government's response to this massive oil spill.
Sunday, leaders of the National Wildlife Federation got their first personal look at an oil spill larger than the country of Jamaica.
And joining us now, Thad Allen, he's the Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. Commandant, how significant is this oil spill in the scheme of things?
Wolf, it's very, very significant. I've been doing oil spill response over 30 years, and this is the most complex response I've ever been involved in for a lot of reasons. Not only the oil on the water, but because the source is 5,000 feet down on the floor bed.
How many barrels a day are gushing out?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that, Wolf. Early on, we said 1,000. Now we're saying 5,000. I think everybody needs to understand we're watching from a video relay from a remote-operated vehicle of a product that's escaping from a pipe, and we're trying to make an estimate. And then we're trying to estimate how much we recover on the top. I think 5,000 barrels a day is a good estimate for now, but I think we need to understand we could have something catastrophic happen down there. We need to be prepared for a worst-case scenario, and that's where we're headed.
Yeah, Jennifer, I mean, so much uncertainty. They are ready to go, but nobody knows just yet what the extent of the problem will be. And to play up that uncertainty, I can see the fishermen in the background of some of your interviews there at the Venice Marina just sitting around. I mean, they were really looking forward to a great season, and they have no idea how bad this is going to be or how long they're going to be shut down.
Rob, and that really, I think, is the hardest part. They don't know what the challenge is they're dealing with. If they knew that fishing is over with, let's move on with new careers, or we're just going to have to sit tight and wait this out for 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, that would at least be something that they could work toward. But I think the most frustrating thing is they don't know. And yeah, they were all just kind of sitting around the marina yesterday. What do they do now? They can't go out and fish. This is supposed to be their busiest time of year. They can't fish by federal regulation, but they're also getting all types of cancellations from folks from across the nation who have booked trips down here all throughout the summer. So it's a pretty depressing scenario for them right now. They're trying really hard to keep their spirits up, but it's a tough challenge.
You know, they have said a lot of the workers are getting sick who are cleaning this up. I thought it was because of the dispersant they're using, which they admit is much more toxic than crude oil. I know some toxic things come out of certain types of wells, especially deep wells. But you were telling me, and now even the EPA today, you were trying to get a hold of me last week, but here you are now. Now the EPA has come out and said, yeah, there's a bunch of other toxic stuff coming out in this 500,000 gallons a day. And people have noticed a lot of times black isn't coming out of the hole, brown and green and of course, from undersea cameras, it distorts the colors, but other stuff other than oil clearly is coming out, and people are saying, you know, is it a mud volcano? What is it? And now there's two other fissures they've confirmed miles away leaking. And we know sometimes, like in the Beverly Hillbillies, I mean, it's fiction, but Jed Clampett shoots at a squirrel, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude Texas tea, black gold. So in a lot of cases in the U.S., La Brea tar pit in L.A., oil comes up on its own on the seabed. So did they get into some mega fissure or something?
No, we're not fooling around. It's a matter of national security. The Louisiana coast is being invaded right now. Literally, we're under invasion from this oil. And I'm waiting for somebody to say, hey, we're going to fight them in the estuaries, we're going to fight them on the beaches, we're going to fight them in the bayous, we're going to fight them in the bays. I mean, right. I'm with the governor here.
You have never seen this before. This is brand new from BP. This is not streaming video, low resolution like we've been seeing for weeks and weeks and weeks. Finally, at long last, they released some high-resolution video. Now, this is not video from today. This is before they actually cut that riser. Remember that a week or so ago when they cut the pipe that went up to the water, and now they claim from the scientists from UC Santa Barbara that made the oil exponentially worse.
We got to say, this is literally, we got to treat this like it's an invasion. And the next time, BP just continues to delay and lawyer up and say they don't have this and hide it and say we couldn't burn the disc or something, then start arresting people, okay? I mean, something's got to be wrong here if we're under invasion.
Yes, keep in mind that the tire on your automobile is 35 pounds per square inch approximately. If you were driving a big tractor-trailer rig, you'd have 100 pounds per square inch, PSI. A reliable source estimated to me with BP that the Gulf of Mexico oil gusher hit a wellhead pressure between, you ready? I mean, this is astronomical. They hit a wellhead pressure of somewhere between 20,000 and 70,000 pounds per square inch. This is beyond human technology to contain it. There are many safety devices on that well. It blew every single one of them.
Is that why the government's now saying they may use a nuke on it?
Why do people want their generation to be the one that perishes during the end times? Media mind control and the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Greetings. Today is June 21st, 2010, and my name is Lenon Honor. On April 20th, 2010, an explosion occurred on the Deepwater Horizon oil drilling rig in the Gulf of Mexico. The oil rig was under contract with British Petroleum. Since that time, we have been inundated with catastrophic projections and possibilities as to the doomsday-like effect that this reportedly massive oil spill was to have on planet Earth. We have been told that this oil spill was catastrophic, potentially life-threatening to hundreds of wildlife species and potentially millions of human beings. We have been told that this oil spill was the greatest ecological catastrophe of our time. Fear, fear, and more fear. So deep has been the fear-mongering that even the proposed solutions to this ecological mega-catastrophe have been rooted in Armageddon-like pronouncements, i.e. nuclear explosions, as a means of sealing this so-called deep water oil well. For over 2 months, we have received stories through various media outlets that have fortified in our minds the dire consequences of this ecological disaster and the imminent destruction of wildlife in the Gulf of Mexico. It has been built up to such a degree that people from all over the world have instantly become eco-conscious, while still driving around in automobiles that consume and leak oil, cars that emit toxic chemicals into the air, and in some cases driving those same cars to go pick up burgers from McDonald's, burgers prepared at the expense of an innocent cow's dreadful experience at the slaughterhouse. But of course, the newly eco-conscious individual is merely acting upon a program that has been placed into their subconscious mind via media. Even now, after 2 months have passed, the once eco-conscious individual has returned to their eco-unconsciousness. Why so? Because too much time has passed since the sensationalism-rooted propaganda machine called media extensively promoted the BP oil spill as the most disastrous ecological event of our lifetime. In other words, far too much time has passed between the apocalyptic pronouncements made by the media and the actual surfacing of physical proof and evidence needed to justify or to validate those same apocalyptic pronouncements. What I mean by this is that none of the doomsday projections have come to pass. In fact, I have yet to find one video taken by an everyday person like you or me that has conclusively proven that the BP oil spill is as catastrophic as has been reported in the news. Not one video from a cell phone, from a camcorder, taken by an individual who lives on or near the shoreline of the Gulf Coast and is not affiliated with media that can conclusively prove that the BP oil spill is as catastrophic as has been reported by the news. How can this be? And yet, we continue to believe what we have been told based upon hours and hours of media propaganda, i.e. mind control. In fact, the propaganda has already peaked, and masses of people have tuned out and redirected their focus upon the 2010 NBA Finals champion Los Angeles Lakers, the FIFA World Cup, and Kim Kardashian. The BP oil spill has somehow become old news, especially to those who suffer from attention deficit disorder, a disorder that most people on the planet suffer from, provable by people's inability to think critically and long-term about what they are told to believe.